Why most startups fail.
Why do most startups fail? Not because founders are lazy, not because they lack funding, not even because they lack intelligence. In fact, many of them do everything right. They study the market, they copy proven models, they follow trends, they build what's already working. And that's exactly why they fail. Peter Thiel opens 0 to 1 with a powerful insight. Most businesses don't fail because they try something bold. They fail because they try nothing new. They build what already exists. They take an idea that works somewhere else and replicate it slightly better, slightly cheaper, slightly faster. Peter Thiel calls this progress from 1 to N. More restaurants, more apps, more platforms doing the same thing. But real breakthroughs don't come from copying, they come from creation. Thiel explains, doing what we already know how to do takes the world from 1 to N. Creating something truly new takes the world from 0 to 1. That leap, from nothing to something, is where history changes. Yet most companies avoid it, because creation is risky, competition feels safer. So businesses compete. They fight for market share. They race to the bottom on price. They obsess over rivals instead of customers. But competition doesn't create greatness. It creates sameness. True innovation doesn't ask, how can we do this better? It asks, what should exist that doesn't? This book is not about starting another company. It's about building something so original, so different, so valuable that competition becomes irrelevant. Because the biggest opportunities in the world are not crowded, they're hidden. And only those willing to go from 0 to 1 will ever find them. 0 to 1 versus 1 to N, the core idea. To understand 0 to 1, you must understand one core distinction. Progress comes in two very different forms. The first is horizontal progress. This is when we take something that already works and simply replicate it. More factories, more stores, more apps doing the same thing. Peter Thiel calls this progress from 1 to N. It looks like growth. It feels productive. But it doesn't change the world. It spreads what already exists. This is what globalization does best. Take a proven idea and copy it across cities, countries, and continents. Now compare that to vertical progress. This is when something entirely new is created, something that didn't exist before. This is progress from 0 to 1. It doesn't copy the past, it invents the future. Technology is what makes this possible. Opening another restaurant in a new city, that's 1 to N. Inventing the smartphone, that was 0 to 1. Creating Google Search, launching PayPal, building the first social network, these weren't improvements, they were breakthroughs. Peter Thiel makes a bold argument. The future will not be built by copying Silicon Valley's successes. It will be built by solving problems no one else is even looking at yet. Every great company in history started small, not because it lacked ambition, but because it was focused on something unique. They didn't ask, how do we compete? They asked, what can we create that no one else can? And that question is the foundation of every 0 to 1 idea. The danger of competition. Competition sounds like a good thing. We're taught that competition drives progress, that it makes companies better, that it benefits customers. But Peter Thiel challenges this belief with a shocking claim. Competition is for losers. Not because losing is bad, but because constant competition keeps you trapped. When companies compete, their attention shifts away from customers and toward rivals. Instead of asking, how do we create something better, they ask, how do we beat them? Prices get cut, margins shrink, stress increases. Innovation slows because survival becomes the priority. Look at the airline industry. hundreds of competitors, price wars, high costs, thin profits. Despite serving millions of people, airlines collectively earn almost nothing. Now compare that to companies like Google, Facebook, PayPal. They weren't locked in endless competition. They created something so unique that they dominated a category. Peter Thiel explains that the most valuable businesses aren't the ones fighting for scraps. They're the ones that own a market. This is what he means by a monopoly, not an evil empire, but a company with so much value that no one else can realistically compete. And here's the paradox. Monopolies are free to innovate. Because they're not constantly fighting to survive, they can think long-term, invest in bold ideas, build the future. Competition forces companies to play defense. Monopolies get to play offense. The real goal isn't to be the best competitor, it's to be the last mover. To build something so strong, so original, so essential that competition becomes irrelevant. Why monopolies are misunderstood. We're taught something from a very young age. Monopolies are bad. We imagine greedy corporations, high prices, and unfair control. But Peter Thiel asks us to look deeper. Not all monopolies are the same. There are bad monopolies. They lock people in, limit choices, and exploit power. And then there are good monopolies. Good monopolies don't win by force. They win by creating so much value that no one else comes close. A true monopoly earns profits not because it charges unfair prices, but because it solves a problem better than anyone else. Take Google. People don't use Google because they're forced to. They use it because it works. It's fast, accurate, reliable. Google dominates search because it's genuinely superior. This kind of monopoly doesn't fear the future. It invests in long-term innovation. It pays employees well. It experiments boldly. It thinks in decades, not quarters. Competition, on the other hand, forces companies into short-term thinking. Cut prices, reduce costs, copy features, survive another year. But monopolies don't just survive. They build. They create space for vision, for risk, for breakthroughs. That's why the best startups don't aim to compete inside crowded markets. They aim to own a category, to create something so valuable, so differentiated, that profits become a result, not the goal. The most important question in business. Peter Thiel doesn't begin with spreadsheets. He begins with a question so uncomfortable that most people avoid it. What important truth do very few people agree with you on? This question separates original thinkers from followers. Followers improve what already exists. Thinkers challenge what everyone assumes is true. Every breakthrough company started as an idea that sounded wrong. Airbnb believed people would trust strangers with their homes. Uber believed transportation didn't need licenses to scale. Facebook believed real identity would outperform anonymity in a world obsessed with privacy. At the time, these ideas felt risky, even foolish, but that's the point. If your idea feels safe, it's probably obvious, and if it's obvious, someone else is already doing it. The future doesn't reward consensus, it rewards clarity plus courage. Contrarian ideas are lonely. They face doubt, mockery, resistance, but they also unlock markets that don't exist yet. The biggest opportunities are hidden behind beliefs most people never question. And the people who shape the future are the ones brave enough to see differently and act anyway.
Secrets, where great ideas hide. Peter Thiel makes a bold claim. The world still has secrets. Not mysteries waiting to be solved someday, but truths hidden right in front of us. A secret isn't unknown, it's unbelieved. Most people assume everything important has already been discovered, that the big ideas are gone, that innovation is only about improvement. But Thiel disagrees. He says progress happens when someone sees what others ignore or refuse to accept. Every great company begins with a secret, a truth about technology that others think is impossible, a truth about human behavior that others dismiss, a truth about markets that others overlook. Google discovered that search could be dramatically better. Facebook saw that people wanted to connect using real identities. Tesla believed electric cars could outperform gasoline, not just match them. These ideas were visible, but they weren't believed. Thiel challenges founders to ask a dangerous question. What valuable company is no one building? If your answer feels lonely, if it sounds strange, if people don't immediately agree, that's a signal. Because the future isn't crowded, it's hidden, and the people who find it are the ones willing to look where no one else is searching. Build a monopoly. The 4 questions. Peter Thiel says every great startup must answer 4 critical questions. Miss even one, and the business eventually breaks. First, engineering. Is your product dramatically better? Not slightly improved, not 10% better, but so much better that users can't ignore it. Incremental improvement invites competition. Breakthroughs create monopolies. Second, timing. Is the world ready now? Too early and no one understands you. Too late and someone else already won. The best startups arrive when technology, culture, and cost finally align. Third, monopoly. Can you dominate a small, specific market? Great companies don't start big, they start focused. Facebook didn't target the world, it started with Harvard students. Amazon didn't sell everything, it started with books. PayPal didn't target all payments, it focused on eBay power sellers. Win a small market completely, then expand outward. Fourth, people. Do you have the right team? Startups aren't built by resumes, they're built by believers. Small teams with shared conviction outperform large teams with mixed motives. This is Thiel's blueprint, not start big and compete, but start small, dominate, expand. That's how monopolies are born. Why sales and distribution matter more than you think. Here's a hard truth most founders ignore. The best product doesn't win. The best distributed product does. You can build something brilliant, something faster, smarter, technically superior, and still fail. Why? Because no one knows it exists. Engineers often believe if it's good, people will find it. They won't. Founders love building. They avoid selling. They hope marketing will magically happen later. Peter Thiel calls this a dangerous illusion. He says, quote, if you've invented something new, you must sell it. Distribution is not an accessory. It's not a phase. It's not something you outsource at the end. It's a core competency. Every successful startup masters 3 things. Product, does it truly solve a problem? Strategy, why will you win long term? And sales and distribution, how will people actually get it? Think about it. Google wasn't just a better search engine, it partnered with browsers. Facebook didn't just build a network, it spread through universities first. Tesla didn't rely on ads, it built a direct-to-consumer story. Invisible products don't win. Unknown brilliance doesn't matter. Only what spreads survives. If no one sees it, it doesn't exist.
Founders, teams, and culture. Startups are not families. Families are unconditional. Startups are intentional. They exist for one reason, to accomplish a mission. Peter Thiel argues that great founders think in decades, not quarters. They say no more than they say yes. They protect focus. They eliminate distractions early. Because misalignment is expensive. In the beginning, every hire shapes the future. Culture forms quietly through what you tolerate, what you reward, what you ignore. And once it sets, it compounds. PayPal didn't just build a payments company, it built a tribe of believers. People who thought alike, moved fast, took ownership. Many of them later built Tesla, LinkedIn, YouTube, Palantir. That wasn't luck, that was culture. Free lunches don't build great companies. Ping pong tables don't create commitment. Mission does. When people believe in why they're building, they'll figure out how. Culture is not a slogan, it's behavior repeated daily. And in startups, culture compounds faster than code. The future is not random. Most people believe the future is random, that progress just happens, that tomorrow will somehow be better without intentional effort. Peter Thiel strongly disagrees. He explains that there are two kinds of optimism. Indefinite optimism believes the future will improve, but has no idea how. It waits, it reacts, it hopes someone else will figure it out. Definite optimism is different. It believes the future can be better and makes a plan to build it. The most important breakthroughs didn't come from chance. They came from people who saw a specific future and worked backwards to create it. Great founders don't gamble on randomness. They don't chase trends. They don't wait for permission. They take responsibility for the future. Every startup is a design decision. Every product is a bet on tomorrow. Every innovation is a refusal to accept the world as it is. The future doesn't arrive on its own. It is imagined, it is engineered, it is built. And those who design it early shape the world that everyone else lives in. What 0 to 1 really teaches. 0 to 1 is not just a book about startups. It's a book about how to think. It challenges the most common instinct in business to copy what already works. Peter Thiel argues that copying is safe, but safety rarely creates greatness. Progress doesn't come from doing what everyone else is doing. It comes from doing what no one else dares to try. Don't copy, create. Don't enter crowded markets, own a space. Don't chase trends that already peaked. Build what the future needs. The world doesn't reward effort alone. It rewards originality. The biggest breakthroughs don't look obvious at first. They look strange, they look risky, they look wrong until they work. Those who go from 0 to 1 aren't just building companies, they're creating new categories, new possibilities, new futures. And once something truly new exists, the world is never the same again. Final message and call to action. Before you close this video, pause for a moment and ask yourself a powerful question. What valuable thing is no one building? What truth do you see that others overlook? Most people wait for permission. They follow trends. They compete for attention in crowded spaces. But the future isn't shaped by followers. It's shaped by people willing to think differently and act on those thoughts. Progress doesn't come from copying success. It comes from creating something new, from going not from 1 to many, but from 0 to 1. If this way of thinking resonates with you, you're in the right place. Subscribe to Insight Beam for calm, timeless ideas that sharpen your thinking, simplify complexity, and help you build what truly matters. Because every breakthrough, every meaningful future starts with one bold idea.